So we're going to go over how to create an end of the game screen. Now, the first thing that we're going to want to do is create a new screen, and it's most likely going to be something called game over. You could call it anything that you'd like though. So go ahead and create a new class and make sure that we add it to our screens. And just like the other ones that we had, this is going to implement screen. So it's going to say, hey, this is going to be a screen. So implement screen, and I'll auto complete it. And then it's going to tell me that I need quite a few things. So I'm going to implement some methods and say, okay. Now, I'll be able to do a few things when I create this. So by creating a screen, I'm going to give it something called a constructor, and then that constructor is going to take demo game class, which is just my game, and then it will be able to do some things. Just like other screens, you need to be able to set up a camera and you need to set up a viewport so that things are shown exactly as you'd like. So this part can be quite personal, so you might have different viewports than we do for this example, but for the most part you'll still need to be able to have these things. Now, we talked about a stage before, so having a stage will be necessary to be able to create the words that say game over and start again, perhaps. We're going to have a demo game class to store our game, and then we are going to just say this.game equals game. So whatever game we get through the constructor, we're going to set it as that game variable. We're also going to have a viewport, so our viewport is going to be a new fit viewport, and again you can use whatever viewport you would like. And then we're going to use our width and our height for our viewport. We can go to our constants and we can try to find those, and we have them here. So we're going to use here in game over, we're going to use constants dot width and then constants dot height, and then we're going to give it a new orthographic camera. Now the reason that we're just doing a camera here is that we're not going to need the camera for anything else later on. We're not going to update it, so we just put it directly in there. We can also create a stage. This is going to be a new stage. It's going to use this viewport that we just created, and then it's going to use our game batch. And we're going to have to create some labels. So we're going to want to have like the text show up on the screen. And to be able to have the text show on the screen, we had to use a label. So we can do capital ALABEL dot label style. Now we're going to need to get this label. So label from scene2DUI, which is different than the Java one, so you have to be careful about that. And you have to make sure that you are using the scene2DUI label as opposed to the Java auth label. Then there's a font equals new label label.style, and then new bitmap font, and then we're gonna say color dot white. Maybe instead of blue, we're just going white. So we're creating our font. Now that we've created our font, we're going to create our table, which is where we're going to place all of the labels. So all of the words that are going to show on the screen, and this helps us organize them pretty easily. We're going to center the table. We're going to make sure that the table fills the whole screen. So set fill parent. And I'm going to say true. We're going to create a label, and game over words equals new label, and said game over. So this is what's actually going to show on the screen, and then we're going to use the font that we created before, which is this guy over here. And then we're going to create another label, which is going to say play again words equals new label, and then play again, and then go ahead and make a font, just pretty straightforward. And then we're going to add these things to the table. So we're going to say table.add, and then we're going to say game over label, or game over word, sorry, and then we're going to say expand on the x-axis. So it's going to take up as much of the x-axis as possible. And table.row, we're going to go to the next line, and then we're going to add another set of words to our table, which is play again words, and then we're going to expand x right here, and then we're going to say stage dot add actor, and then table. So we're going to add this table to the screen pretty much. The screen has a stage. A stage is sort of like a way to organize different things on the screen. Okay, so we have that. Perfect. So whenever we create this, we'll be able to see it. One of the things that we're going to try is to figure out when somebody clicks on this screen. So if they click on anywhere on the screen, and this can be easily enough done with gdx.input.justTouch. So if they touch anywhere on the screen, what we're going to do is that we're going to do game.setScreen to new level 1, and then we're going to say game, and that's it. So if something happens, then like let's say like the player touches the part where he dies, then what we're going to do is that we are going to show this screen. And when this screen shows up, if they touch anywhere on the screen, then we're just going to create a new level 1 and go back to the beginning. We'll want to do a couple of things. We're going to want to clear the screen, and then we're going to want to stage.draw. So what we're doing is if somebody touches this, then go ahead and set the new game screen. Otherwise, we're going to clear it and we're going to draw it. And at some point when we do touch it, we're going to dispose of it. So we're going to get rid of it, and we're going to just show this one. So pretty straightforward when it comes to what's on this particular screen. And then don't forget to stage.dispose whenever you're done with this. Okay, so once we have this, we'll try to run it, but this won't really work because we haven't done a couple of things. So we're going to go ahead and just run this, show you what we've got. At this point, what we've done is that we've made the Mario touch Goomba, and then the Goomba will kill it. And there you go. And then he dies, and it's done. But here is where we want to show the screen. The screen's not showing yet. So let's go to where we would go ahead and call this. So if we go to player, and we're going to say here in contact listener, when the player hits the enemy or the enemy hits the player, then we want to do player on enemy hit. So we go to player on enemy hit, and here's where we say sort of kill the player. So we're saying player is dead, true. And after we do this, we want to be able to know that we should change to the other screen. We don't want to really change to the screen here in player though. We really want to change the screen here in demo game. So in demo game, we want to try to figure out if we have died. So let's go to demo game, and then in demo game, we're going to try to find, or sorry, in level 1, we're going to try to find where the player would die. So if we search through, there's a few places where we will want to do this. We could do this in render, we could do this in update, but most likely the best place to do this is just in render. So we're going to say if, and then we're going to do player dot get or is dead is dead doesn't exist. So again, let's go back to player. Let's create just a method that's public, returns a boolean, is dead, and then this returns player is dead. So this is just going to return whether the player is dead or not. So at some point we're going to say if the player is dead, then we want to game or my game dot set screen to new game over screen, and then we give it my game. Just like that. So then what happens is that here in player, we were actually we haven't set that the game over screen happens. He just dies, but then we didn't change the screen. So he kind of like falls down because he touched an enemy, and then things go. So here we touched the enemy, it just immediately went to the game over screen. We click on it and it looks like it's working, but we just keep going back to the screen right away. So what we're gonna do instead is that we're gonna wait a second or two. How do we wait? Well, we keep a timer. So we go to level 1, and then here we have something called the delta. And we haven't talked about this before, but delta is the amount of time that's happened between each frame, each time that the frame has rendered. So we're going to keep a timer, and we're going to go all the way to the top, and we're going to create a timer. So we're going to do public float timer equals to 0 here. So we start the timer at 0, and then we're going to add on to the timer. But we want to add on to the timer once the player is dead. So if the player is dead, then we're going to say timer dot add on to the timer delta amount, and then we're going to just print that and see what our timer will look like. So here we go, and then we're not going to set the screen yet. We're just going to keep a running count, and then we'll be able to see that here. So let's go ahead and like kill Mario. You're going to see that the timer is increasing, that it's getting printed out, and after a certain amount of time, we can say if the timer is more than this much, then we should show the screen. Okay, so maybe let's do it when the timer reaches 3, or the value of 3 or greater. So we're going to say if timer is greater than 3.0, then set the screen to game over. So go ahead and click play. So what's happening is that the player is dead, the timer starts increasing, at some point it's going to get to greater than 3, and he goes and then after 3 seconds, game over screen shows up. We can click on it again, and then we can start playing our game. We touch our enemy again, we wait about 3 seconds, and then this shows up again, and click on it and it starts.